just the story real quick.
3, 2. There it is.
Okay.
It's all right.
This is the clapping thing I've heard so much
All
about.
right.
We were gonna do the skull.
Huh? Oh my god. We did. That was a good one.
Alright, get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
You gotta go, man. That's not gonna work.
That was the screening for our guest. Alright, episode 6 here.
Is it really?
Stronger
Thought
through
we were cutting
humor,
it off after
episode
5.
6. We
Yeah,
thought
we
so too.
thought we got
We
it.
5?
didn't even know we could
That
make it
was
to
the
5.
goal. That was the goal.
Didn't even know we could make it to 5.
Yeah. And we could sit in this room for 5 episodes, so.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a PR.
Ooh.
Automatic PR for us.
It's always going to be PRs from
Yeah.
now on.
Alright, yeah, so welcome to the 6th episode for Stronger Through Humor.
Woo.
Yeah, we're going to have a little bit of fun today, maybe.
Hopefully.
Just a little bit.
Okay, so we got Joe here.
Hello.
Cody. Tommy. And that's about it. We'll just keep going through the next topics here. So, Cody, you got any updates for us? Any updates on anything gym related?
I think we're adding a dietitian to the movement team soon.
Gross.
But we
Diet?
haven't really found anyone yet. I know we're talking to a few people.
Yeah.
But
It's ignoring me like my mother. Having flashbacks to my childhood.
Do you guys hear something?
What is this, a mic picker?
Is the music playing in the gym?
Whoa, wait.
Gabriel! Gabriel! What's that again? What's that again?
Yeah.
What's that?
Nutrition's overrated.
Oh, he's different descendants than I thought he was. A little accent there. Yeah. Alright, but I guess cat's out of the bag.
Yep.
We got our beloved under much scrutiny and much pushback from Joe. Because our nutritional expert has been our co-host Joe here, and he was, let me tell you, I had to do some convincing to get to be like, you know what, Howie knows a little bit, but you're still our coach.
So you know the number one expert. Number one.
Yeah. Howie's actually qualified.
More than a high school certification.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
High school.
A barely high school grade 10.
Grade 10 class
If you even count that.
for best marks.
Yeah. Not even nutrition.
No, for
It was
nutrition.
nutrition.
You got best marks in nutrition?
Yeah.
Damn.
Nice.
Why do we have Howie here? That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
I was like, that changes
It's
everything.
happened to go. My job's been taken.
You
Yeah.
didn't tell us it was best mark.
Yeah, I thought it was just a regular cert.
Well, that ain't too hard to
students.
get. It was best marks in Tech Vox, so.
Oh,
Kidding.
Shout out to Tech
Shout out to Tech Vox.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, but hi, my name's Howie.
You want a little bit?
Don't introduce yourself.
Yeah, we introduce you.
Okay,
You
alright.
have to introduce
You know the
yourself.
rules?
Jesus.
Alright.
Yeah.
The first guest is getting a little rowdy here.
Yeah. The one time we.
I gotta
Oh,
sign myself.
God damn it.
Drop my keys. Don't worry about it. It's on the floor now.
I dropped my key.
Pocket.
I dropped my keys. I gotta go.
Yeah.
Train wreck
It's a
episode.
sign now. We gotta go
I
now.
gotta go now.
Yeah. Wow. What a fiery start here. So how was our first guest? Hopefully not the last one.
What a
I'll see how this goes.
You say what a fiery start every podcast.
Fiery start.
Oh man. All right.
Okay. So,
Howie?
Howie, introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Howie. So I'm a dietitian, and Tommy, Joe, and Cody approached me. I've already been around the gym a few times, but
Just a few.
Just a few. You know, I'm here sometimes.
Dabbled.
Yeah, you know, they're somewhere around here. But yeah, no, they asked me to be on the podcast. I said yes. I asked them if Joe was going to be there. They said maybe. So I'm like, I'll take that chance.
Yeah. Probably not. Yeah.
Yeah. But here we are with Joe.
Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I separated them to make sure it was.
It's probably for the best.
Yeah. But
Last time we were within close close proximity got a little messy.
There's some tension, positive or negative there.
Yeah.
So I just thought
Both sexual.
both sections.
Highly charged.
Yeah. So I thought I'd separate it for the good of the podcast. So I guess we'll go into maybe briefly what is a dietitian or an RD. What is an RD?
So RD stands for Registered Dietitian. So it's the only recognized regulated profession for nutrition. So we're basically healthcare professionals who translate nutrition knowledge into practical advice and help and support for people. And I say healthcare professionals, and you'll typically find RDs or registered dietitians in hospitals, clinics, outpatient settings, but you also find them in places like policy, community, sport, fitness, wellness. So you'll find RDs across a lot of different areas. And just like with massage therapists, nurses, doctors, we also have a college that we need to be registered with to protect the public. So that's an added benefit of if you have any insurance, any coverage, then usually depending on that coverage, you're able to claim your services.
Is it more common for dietitians to work with athletes now? I feel like I've heard dietitians a lot more in like clinical settings, but now
in sport,
more like sport, it's coming up more.
Yeah. So
at like a youth age too.
I'm sorry.
At like a youth age.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
any professional or provincial or amateur sports organization will usually have an RD to help with nutrition for their team. So, for example, I'm an RD at Sport Manitoba, so I work with their provincial teams. There's RDs at the Canadian Sports Centre, so they work with national athletes. There's RDs for basketball teams. Shout out to the NBA.
Shout out NBA.
We got another call out. Connor McDavid tuned in and Sammy Sosa, another NBA.
They got nothing to do. They got to watch our
They're
podcast.
watching the podcast.
You see them in Olympics.
just said that.
Yeah.
But I'm not so much in personal fitness settings, so typically things you see in gyms, but there's more of an expansion. For example, Here Movement. I'm the dietitian that works out of here.
Debate still.
Yeah.
I think you guys are still.
We're a bit of a civil dispute between Joe and I. We can't comment on camera. It's still in the courts.
We're gonna leg wrestle.
It's a leg wrestle for the dietitian.
Squatting.
For the expert.
Yeah. We'll host something.
Yeah. But
I don't know. Yeah, he's been squatting pretty deep lately. So
how do you?
So deep. So
look
deep.
at that. The first of the pros column there.
Oh wow.
Right there.
Deep.
Yeah.
I like the winky face.
Yeah.
Those are pros and cons of my squat.
Limited member access.
Week
by week.
Was it summary day?
Summary.
Perception.
Good perception.
These are good buzzwords for the squat show.
Yeah. He has squats of a summary day.
I guess it's only good week by week.
We'll take the squats week by week.
A fresh summer breeze rose through whilst Joe squatted to his deepest desires.
Summary day.
I don't know if you're doing the accent or not.
No.
I got a hint of it.
You got a hint of it.
Little
Little hint.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be all.
I guess you can.
Well,
leave it out.
Yeah.
That's the only question we uploaded.
I guess I can add no one can call themselves an RD. You have to go through university, get a degree, and then you have to do an internship program with the Winnipeg Regional Health Authority, at least here in Manitoba. So then you do rotations at different places. So I've worked in ICU, medicine, had a rotation at the Canadian Sports Centre. But I think nowadays we're actually moving towards an integrated program. Anyway, so you do your rotations, your practicum, and then you write a board exam, and then you wait an agonizing 2 months, and then you.
Okay, so let's compare now, Joe.
Yeah.
What
So
did
Joe,
you
what did you need?
Took a class in grade 10.
Nice.
Was how long was that
How long
class?
is the class?
The whole year.
What?
The full year, yeah.
That was
The full year.
Yeah. Every day.
Every second day.
Oh, okay.
We also cooked. for that class
I
too,
gotta- I
so
gotta
we
ask.
applied
Seems like a
our knowledge.
decent class.
Yeah.
It was great.
So
Was it home economics and nutrition?
how many calories in a gram of a carbohydrate?
4.
Wow.
Oh, it's done. All right.
About
so-
4. Just kidding. It seemed like it, but it wasn't called it.
Did you wear an apron?
I should have.
You probably.
Yup.
Did you wash your hands?
Just to cover the newness.
No.
Is it naked?
Yeah, it's a naked nutrition. You guys haven't heard of
Oh, that's a good one. Naked nutrition.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
it.
New business idea.
Yeah. You can tell a calendar too at the same time.
It's definitely out there.
Yeah.
No.
No.
I got it. Okay, keep talking.
It's like, hey, let's look this
Let's
up.
see how many viruses I get here.
Yeah.
Say search on or
No. Always off.
Yeah, it's there.
Naked nutrition.
Well, naked way. Okay, so everything good to go. So that business idea was shot down. Already done.
Crap.
On to the next. But
yeah, but
yeah, I think it's a big perception the nutritionist versus dietitian. Just because, like, I think even like earlier, like one of the intro episodes that we did, I like went into that. I have like 3 nutrition certifications, but that was just more of like background knowledge, not as much as me being like, I'm gonna give you a meal plan, I'm gonna give you a meal guide, macros along what you should eat, when you should eat it, and everything. It was more for if a client was really struggling, having like a base knowledge of like of a separation instead of me just speaking out of my ass type thing. Because even now when clients come, luckily we have Hao-Yi as our team dietitian. Sorry, Joe. This announcement is shocking.
I'm the team nutrition.
Yeah. And then we have Joe as the team nutritionist.
fantastic.
Fantastic.
But yeah, so Hao-Yi's helped well, more recently one of our athletes that had significant water cut before our meet, and then he's going to be working with our athletes in the next one, giving them some more breakdown, and with that for performance gains. So
I won't be working with them though.
I think Cody has strongly advised
I don't,
on working with Joe.
So I'm gonna do
I have my
well, you know,
5 donuts.
When we're in the same weight class, I don't know if I can trust the guys. You know,
Trust me. You know, it's.
I don't know how you came overweight.
Yeah.
you're so overweight. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I know what happened. You have those 5 donuts, right? Yeah.
Right before you step on the scale, I want you to drink 4 liters of water.
We'll make sure you're hydrated.
Mm-hmm.
So Joe, you got a plan for me?
Oh yeah, always.
Here we go.
What is
Where's
it?
Always.
Leave.
Yeah.
We'll
We'll talk about it at the bar.
Yeah.
Leopold Spencer's.
Yeah. All right. So, but with Joe, did you smoke any meat this week?
I didn't. I didn't.
down.
So
I know.
every damn week he knows that this is going to be a topic of
It is.
conversation. Well, so on to the next.
Well, do you have plans for next week?
I was supposed to
Oh, it sounds
yesterday.
like a no.
Yesterday.
I'm supposed to.
I was supposed to.
I'm
supposed to.
Yeah, then those plans fell through.
Oh, yeah, I remember this. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
continue. I'll let you tell the story.
No, there's not too much stories to tell. Just plans fell through. Next week, no plans, but I'm sure I'm gonna be doing some. Yeah, I'm gonna do
Do
some.
you want to know?
I'm gonna be doing something.
Scary.
You can find out.
Yeah. Yeah, we were thinking actually April 12th. It's still with everything that's going on right now. I guess we'll kind of gauge it week by week, but we were still thinking about doing like me maxing out, and we'll have like the Magma team still working out together and having like a team barbecue, but that's open to members and stuff like that, again, like permitting how things are moving forward. But yeah, and potentially having some smoked meat there.
I like how Tommy's so strong that he won't do the real meat. He just has his
Yeah.
own meat for himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still
Am I
bringing.
powerlifting meet? No, I'm gonna do it the week
Yeah.
before.
And when you say the Team Magma athletes are going to work out, do you mean working out or just spotting and loading your weights?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it. That is
I'm
the
not doing
workout.
I'm gonna talk to MP about bringing their judges. It's gonna be a sanctioned event just
Just
for
loading
just
your weights.
Yeah,
It's a workout. It's a workout.
yeah.
2
It's
meets back to back.
You know, we'll check our apps and it says load for Tommy. It's
loaded.
okay.
Yeah, it's on the
No,
app.
it says like back rub Tommy.
Bar
Okay.
is loaded.
Bar is loaded.
Next I even have like an announcer,
Yeah.
an MC.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get the Reese guy to come out.
Oh, man. It's just you two
Yeah.
living.
Next we have Tommy Howell.
What?
Bar
Yeah.
is
Bar
loaded.
is loaded. And successful
And
attempt. 3 white lights.
Yeah, and up next in the hole we got Tommy Howell.
Anyone argues, they get kicked out.
Yeah, there is no
I don't
jury.
think
no
that was
jury.
depth.
And then
Get
there's
out, get out.
only a white light button. There's no
All the light bulbs are white.
Yeah. You when they put
Wait,
us
I
red,
said
I
no
showed
list.
it.
I said no list.
Yeah,
No
I
one's gonna
short
list.
circuited, so it's just a white light.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Got it
Yeah.
again. Got it
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, 3 whites, baby. So yeah, do you have any update that would be relevant for the movement meet? I know there's some developments, but I think
Well, by the time this
yeah.
podcast comes out, the meet will definitely be full.
Yeah.
We won't have any spots left, so that's awesome. We're with
So congratulations, a little round of applause.
few weeks left.
Nice.
Howie and I will not be friends for the next couple of weeks.
Howie
It's
and
going
I.
to be full on competition mode.
Yeah.
Have you guys even been friends to
Well,
begin
I
with?
was gonna say,
Yeah,
the little bit that we
Yeah,
were.
Yeah, no,
out.
it's gone now.
But
Glares
Start
every
trash
time.
talking now. You get 1 line each.
Yeah, you can go first.
Oh,
Trash talk.
I go first.
Yeah.
First.
3, 2.
How about we do that later? Well, look, we'll random.
Nutrition's
We'll
over.
This
come.
is random.
No, it'll come during the podcast.
This is
It's gonna
during
be like-
the podcast is recording right
No, I
now.
know it is, but-
yeah. Too friendly. Too friendly.
Too friendly. He's got to stay for the whole podcast.
Okay.
It can't be.
So we got a question for Cody.
course you do.
What would your 1 line of trash talk be for Howie?
Yeah.
There it
This
is.
question just came in
Completely
live.
random.
Just completely.
Instagram live. Just
I hate
came
being
in.
on the spot, guys. It's so much better when I can just.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll let you
Do it
fester with that.
randomly.
We'll move on. Joe, what would be your 1 line of trash talk for Howie?
I feel like I'm on the receiving end here.
Yeah, really.
Howie, what would be your 1 line of trash talk
For yourself.
Howie?
Oh man, the only thing that the only thing that ignores Howie more than his bench is his mother.
Oh,
Yeah.
shout out to mom.
Shout out to mom,
There we go.
Mama Sim.
Mama Sim?
Yeah, ignoring me since 1996.
Good year.
A good year.
That was a good year.
I love my mom.
The summer of
My mom.
'96.
Yeah, she is. You're gonna get a talking to.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a talking
Yeah.
to. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a good one.
Yeah.
We're over.
All right, so we're on to.
Do you always cut your sets 2 reps short?
Oh my god.
Oh.
that one's cold. That one's cold.
I'm sorry, that one day though.
Jeez.
That one day, that was a bad day.
And then how that's gonna be a little spark plug for
Yeah.
under Howie for meet day.
No kidding, yeah.
Maybe in Howie's ear
I'm
coming
gonna
meet
start
day.
doing 3 reps on the platform just to spike it. You got the lift. No.
No, don't rack it. Don't touch it.
Yeah.
That was the joke yesterday. My second rep's always better.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to do 2 reps.
Yeah.
We're just all right. I'm warmed up.
Yeah.
Give me command.
Yeah, you're not allowed to do
Yeah,
2 reps
that's
that.
he after he was doing deficit doubles for deadlift.
Yeah.
And well, obviously, I don't know if you can do a deficit squat or bench, but yeah, you did a deficit deadlift for a double. Fucking brutal.
Deficit bench.
Wow. Wait a minute. What would a deficit bench be? Let's think about this. Are we creating a movement here? A deficit bench press.
Like
Wouldn't that be like just,
How do you bench from a deficit?
I don't know, decline?
you hold it there and then Joe like tossing you to catch it.
Oh,
And then it
there-
goes down,
Yeah.
Same as squat.
yeah.
Cool.
It just drops on you. You gotta catch it.
Okay.
It's teaching you that control at the top.
Yeah, that's
a strong
deficit.
core. If you have a weak core, you'll be crushed. Much like Cody during this competition. I hit him on the platform.
Oh,
There it is.
there it is. Okay. Okay. Wow. See, Howie didn't even need.
You got me. You got me with that one.
How did
There's
you
no
need
debating
time?
that one. That was a good one. Except I'm gonna win, but
Oh wow! All right. I'll warm up that second place for you.
All right, we'll go to some.
Gotta get that bench a little higher first.
Oh, damn.
Holy shit, they're gonna start kissing. So we
Yeah.
gotta
That's how's your deadlift,
So
sir?
much tension.
some sexual tension. All right, Howie, got some questions for you coming in hot.
All right.
And steamy.
And
Nice.
steaming.
I like it.
A steaming pile of questions here.
Yeah.
So first one, what led you to be so passionate about nutrition?
Well, when I was but a wee kid, I ate a lot of cookies. Like a lot of cookies.
Yeah. The first time I saw a banana.
There was a lot of fruit size. Actually, speaking of bananas,
Oh,
Oh,
we were
shit.
worried about
Oh,
this.
March is Nutrition Month, and
We're gonna have to
we want
bleep.
to celebrate food. So
We're
I
gonna have
brought
to
you
bleep that
some
out.
extra ripe bananas.
Yeah, I was gonna say some
Ooh.
rotten bananas. That's
Yeah.
Cody.
Oh, no,
Cody
no.
loves rotting food.
a little spotted.
That's how he feels about
There you
us.
go.
Tell us how you really feel.
Here you go. You get the big one.
Ooh.
Ooh.
You're a big boy, huh?
Big boy.
You're a big boy.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks. You're a
Oh,
big
thank you.
No.
Bearing gifts here.
So, happy Nutrition Month. You know.
We should have definitely led with that.
should've.
Probably.
But we could put that as a headline there. So,
Yeah.
mm.
So
so
he brings bananas.
maybe so you ate a lot of cookies as a kid.
Now you eat a lot of bananas. We know that.
So did
You still
like
eat a lot of
good
I do
cookies.
eat a lot of cookies still,
I was gonna say, like a good addict though, you replace your addiction with another
Addiction, yeah,
Right.
it's the cycle of life, you know.
So
You go from one addiction to another. Recovery is a joke.
Recovery's overrated.
so
I hope I
then
don't lose my license.
I did that part out.
yeah.
Yeah. Cut.
No, so when I was in high school, it was already like I wasn't a very active kid.
Mhm.
I had like a bowl cut. I was short. I had a fanny pack.
That's
When
all
I
of us,
ran,
though.
The fanny pack would
Sounds like
bounce.
James.
That's all. That's James currently. Yeah.
But yeah, and then when I got to high school, I got more physically active.
It's not even a fanny pack. It's his gut hanging out.
Oh my god.
fanny pack. They just call it a fanny pack forever. It's
an
his
actual
gut. Kid wears a fanny pack. I've never worn a fanny pack.
Oh my god.
That's my gut, guys.
So we're gonna stash things in there.
Yeah.
Oh.
Fold.
Yeah,
A
in
little
the fold.
fold there,
Oh,
Yeah. We've all
Free
been there.
legs.
Yeah, we've all been
I
there.
feel bad for James.
Yeah.
You
Shout out
should.
to
You shouldn't.
Shout out to James.
Shout out to James.
And not feeling bad for him.
Not feeling bad for him, but I was physically active in high. I started getting more physically active in high school, and I took martial arts, and then I broke my arm because I was not good.
Which arm was
Or
it?
you were too good.
Maybe we'll
Yeah.
go with that. But yeah, I broke my left femur, so I sat there and
It's pretty hard to break that bone too.
it
So
is, yeah.
congrats.
Well, I fell pretty hard,
Yeah.
Yeah.
very hard.
Oh, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Stronger.
That's a whole other
The
story,
stronger the
but-
humor is.
I hate it. Let's skip over that.
Yeah.
That's important.
And as I was sitting at home, you know, just thinking to myself, man, this sucks because I got a broken arm. I started looking more online about like fitness
Nice.
and health, and I always wanted to like help people in the healthcare aspect. But I kind of went between psychology and being a cook, and then being a doctor, which I'm sure would make my parents proud. And then
They're not proud.
it depends on the day.
Yeah.
Which is never. And then we went back to nutrition because I started looking at fitness stuff and I realized, you know what, I really like the whole physical activity part, the moving, the wellness, but I also could acknowledge that the kinesiology, biology part, while I was good at, was not good enough or passionate about to make that my career.
Okay.
But when I started looking at nutrition, how nutrition could help with gaining strength, could help with recovery, could help in healthcare, recovery from surgery, prep for surgery. Just many different ways nutrition can support not only performance, but also health and wellness across all the spectrums. I just started falling in love. So, kind of like Joe, I started my career in nutrition in high school. I'm not as in depth as Joe per se.
No.
But were you top of your class?
Oh yeah, obviously.
Oh
Obviously, it's not even a question.
Wasn't in my class.
Hey, was that Tech Walk?
That was a tech block, you know.
I'll tell you.
But yeah, and then I went to university, like just direct entry into nutrition. And then my dad sat down one day and he looked at me and he's like, Howie, like, do you know the difference between a nutritionist and dietitian? And my answer was, what is a dietitian? And he's like, oh boy.
Yeah.
So he explained to me, like,
What does your father do?
he is computer science.
Okay.
And he does cybersecurity. He also has a master's in computer security. And my mother always asks me why I'm never smart like him.
So answer the question right now. Why aren't you smart like your father?
Well, there was a series of accidents as a child. You know?
You broke your arm.
Broke your
No.
Never
My
been the same
parents-
since.
I should clarify, my parents are super supportive. I love them very much.
Yeah.
They helped me a lot through my university career. And when I was in university, I found out, what a dietitian was. So I started reading more about it. The differences, like anyone can call themselves a nutritionist, but dietitians are highly trained. There's like standards, there's a college, it's a whole like
Continuing education.
this whole gambit you gotta run through. It never ends, right?
Which is amazing.
Yeah, but the idea to me of never stopping to learn, always getting better, always being able to help people through nutrition, which is such a personal thing for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And something that a lot of people will sometimes struggle with, can be a really big source of anxiety. That's something that I want to be able to help with.
Yeah.
So then I went to university, started getting more involved in volunteer work, the usual courses. I applied for internship, and then I got it, and then the rest is history.
And now you're hanging.
Thankfully.
Thank you,
And
yeah.
now you're hanging out with us.
Now I'm hanging out with you guys.
Made it.
Ooh, on that
I
down
made it.
swing. Peaked a little early.
I'm not sure when I peaked, but it was before this.
This is hopefully not the up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a super interesting part of, say, the health field with nutrition is that everyone, like, if you don't like strength, whatever your method of training is, whether it's, I played footsie with you there again, so watch out.
Yeah.
It's a
I'm
regular
on
thing.
it.
I'm jealous.
So whether it's like you like running, you like strength training, you like powerlifting, you like Olympic weightlifting, you like swimming, maybe you're not going to go within those fields, but you're always going to obviously eat, and that's one thing that's very like it transfers over through sport is that everyone's obviously going to eat food, and like I can't imagine how many athletes, like the percentage of athletes that are actually eating optimally. It's probably pretty low, or know what like optimally is.
Joe should talk about that because he lives off of no eating. So
Yeah,
That's true.
it is
Or-
possible.
or just conditioning off like
Or
beer
the
and
other end,
pizza. Which is just
Those are calories.
Yeah.
That counts.
yeah.
A calorie is a calorie. That's
That's
what they
a
say.
take it from Joe. But no, I think that's just a super interesting part of nutrition is that I'm very passionate about like strength and conditioning, but some people are not gonna want to train with weight training or stuff like that. They're just gonna want to strictly do like water aerobics, which is fine. You're still moving, like I totally get it, but like you would be like, okay, like I can obviously still work with you as you being like a 7-year-old woman that's doing water aerobics, I think.
That's a very specific example.
I was crushed when she said that. That was a client that didn't want to train. I'm just kidding. But yeah, just like the transfer through sport that I find really, really cool. Next question.
Oh yeah.
What's the hardest, unless you guys got anything? I'm just
No, you can keep
You
going.
go first.
And
I have a question.
We'll
Yeah.
chime in. Yeah.
what's the hardest what's the hardest conversation you've had to not butt in on?
Oh, to not butt in.
Yeah, so it could be
Whenever I talk.
nutrition,
Whenever Joe
Oh.
No, he butts in.
Everything Joe has ever said.
That's really hard.
nutrition wise.
Nutrition wise.
Nutrition. Oh, nutrition.
Completely random story.
Yeah. I'm getting
This one time.
Oh my God, I'm getting so many flashbacks.
Oh.
To my situation.
Okay, give us a top few.
Well, I mean, like for everyone who's in their respective field, right? Now, if you hear someone talk about something that's not something that you're not only passionate about, but something you've spent a good amount of time on, that you've dedicated time, effort, a lot of money. Oh my God, so much money. And just overall passion for it. It's hard not to budge in, right? Like I imagine for you, when people start talking about strength training, or for you, like when I talk about gym ownership, but I guess
Another shot.
Water aerobics.
No, but for like you two, when you talk about like people talk about fitness and strength training, and like you hear something that's just so, I guess I wouldn't necessarily say wrong, but very wrong.
Yeah. Just,
Or even something that's not really applicable to the person they're talking to. Like it takes so much effort not to chime in. Because you're thinking, oh my God, like.
So what is it?
This person's gonna. Oh man. I think the hardest one, and I'll keep it anonymous for obvious reasons.
no, you gotta say name. What's her name?
But I think the toughest one, I think for me, was it wasn't anyone I was involved with too, but it wasn't here, but it was another gym I was at, and there was this. It was just two random gym goers, but one of them was talking to the other, talking about like diet and stuff, like, oh man, you gotta cut out this and this, you gotta do this, like you gotta like do this to lose all that weight and that fat and that water.
Okay.
And it was just like a lot of restrictive things one after the other, and you can tell that the person that is like person A was the one giving advice, person B was the one receiving it. You could tell person B was already like pretty panicked, and like you could tell like pretty new to the gym, you know, just so much information.
Also overwhelmed, like
very overwhelming. The information was so wrong, and person A just kept piling it on and on and on, right? And unfortunately, with any sort of like field, I especially I find nutrition, there's just so much information out there. Like you look at Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Facebook, you just look at all the information that's out there, right? That just gets tossed around, and you see people getting overwhelmed, and like everyone and everyone has an opinion on nutrition. That's not a bad thing, right? Yeah. But it gets a little messy when those opinions start getting thrown around as facts. Or one fact fits all when it's not really the case, right? Like,
well, I know there's that one incident here where we had a guy, a member that was wanting to gain weight.
Oh yeah.
And then another member was like, you need to eat everything and anything in sight.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
I was sitting there, I was like,
so then
technically correct, but
you could approach this much better.
I mean, you could say the same thing. If you want to lose weight, just don't eat at all. Fantastic. You've dropped your pounds. Look at you go. Summer shreds.
You're also half dead.
But you lost weight.
That's true, but you look good.
Looking like Gabriel over here.
Goals.
Body goals. Like it, but this is what peak male performance looks like.
Body goals.
This is what peak human performance looks like. You know,
Gabriel.
Look at this fine physique.
Thanks, man.
All right, Cody, coming in hot with a question.
Yeah, honest question. You have to answer.
Okay.
What caused your love of bananas?
What caused my love of bananas?
Because I know a lot of
the
people.
shape.
Yeah.
The shape.
Well, let's
Did you see that video? This guy's like saying how the banana is like the perfect fruit and everything. It's so weird.
Is there actual like, reasons? Like, or is it just you just enjoy bananas? Like you.
So I'm pretty lazy. And sometimes with other fruits, you got to prepare them. And like people say, oh, you just toss some grapes in, you can toss an apple. But I don't know, just the banana, like it's portable. You can just peel it, you eat it, you can add smoothies. It tastes good. There's a lot of carbs. You get potassium.
The skin's great.
And actually, Well, so when I was in university, every year we'd have like March is Nutrition Month, right? And every year in university we'd always have a booth. Except for this year because of what's going on right now. Obvious reasons, but then we would always have apples and bananas, and of course I want to make sure the quality of our food that we're giving other people is good. So obviously I tried it. The apples were apples, but the bananas were really good. And I remember as a kid always eating bananas too. Like when I broke my arm as a kid as well, because I broke this arm in high school and then this arm when I was a kid.
That's the same one.
Jumped down a flight of stairs. Whoa, my god.
How many arms do you have?
But I remember like falling I remember
broke this arm, then also broke this arm. I'm like, that's the same one.
As you can tell, physiology was not my strong point, you know?
Wait a minute.
He's trying to pull a good one on us.
Fitness experts, would you like to weigh in? No?
I mean, different bones, so different
We got what you're saying. Yeah, we got what you're saying.
This is the upper bone.
The upper arm, the lower
bone.
I broke my upper arm and my lower arm.
Lower arm.
There you go.
This is the bottom arm.
Bottom
arm.
The foot arm.
Yeah, this is the mini arm.
The foot of the arm.
Yeah, foot of the arm. And I remember as a kid just finally eating mashed bananas while I had a castor. I don't know. I just like bananas. They taste so good.
So you thank bananas for healing your arm?
Yes.
Wow. Eastern medicine.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I want to do it so bad.
All right.
It's your credibility.
Oh,
Just kidding.
In your professional opinion, how good does human meat taste?
How good does human meat taste? Oof.
In your professional,
Well, it depends on you prepare it, right? And like the freshness of it.
You right
He's so much better than Cody at this. Oh, damn it.
your professional opinion. How about your personal opinion?
Damn it. Okay.
Yeah, but for real.
That tells us a lot about Hao-Yi, though.
Yeah, but for real, pretty good.
Listen, when you're in, especially in the healthcare, the kind of questions you get sometimes is really wild.
What's the wildest question?
Well, okay, so I don't know if it's the wildest, but one time I had a person ask me, and they had and obviously like no names or anything.
Yeah.
But
What was
It was
the
Joe. It was definitely Joe.
But one time I had a person ask me like, how many beers could they safely consume in an hour so that it wouldn't impact their blood sugars? And I asked them, like, I like to ask what a person where they're at first.
Yeah.
Just so I can give them like a realistic response,
yeah.
right? Gauge, right? Because I can give like a textbook answer, but the person is nowhere near that, then it's not reasonable for both them or myself. So I asked them, okay, like how many are you having right now? And they're like, well, I've cut back a little bit. I'm at 12 right now.
12 beers an hour?
12 beers in like an hour. And I'm like...
Is this Joe?
Yeah, I wasn't lying when I said it's talking about Joe.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Those are rookie numbers.
Okay. What was the question again?
Wildest
question.
So that's one example, and there's a bunch of others you just come across. And like I mentioned earlier, I work as sport Manitoba, but full-time wise, I work in healthcare.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll have like families or patients ask me different things, or like they'll be very insistent on something, and I say like maybe that's not a great idea, and they're like no, and they'll eat it anyway.
Yeah, they're like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched almost like forcefully, like 600-Pound Life. I don't know if you've seen it on TLC.
I've seen like clips on it.
Yeah, and there's like surgeons giving like nutrition
yeah.
guidelines and like exercise routines, and there's this like 600-pound woman that Cody looks real happy right now.
Cody's like disgusted. His face is like
so mad at me for telling this story.
It's like,
he's like, you son of a bitch, you telling me this.
I
But
wanna hear
like briefly, it was like she's 600 pounds, and the surgeon was like, first off, like very angry with her for like not losing any weight.
Okay.
And was like, I'm gonna give you this. You have no reason not to follow it. It's 13 in 1 month. You will lose 80 pounds. But
numbers.
Yeah, but we could make it more, but I'm gonna keep it at a steady rate. So you're gonna lose 80 pounds, and you're gonna be at 1,300 calories a day.
Jeez.
And she didn't follow it for some reason. Yeah, awkwardly enough.
Yeah, awkwardly enough.
Yeah. All right. Do you got one? A question here?
I'll probably ask it later if it's appropriate. Then I just don't want to derail this whole.
It's inappropriate right now.
It's not inappropriate. I just don't want to derail the whole nutrition talk and stuff like that.
In your professional opinion, what is the most hyped up miracle supplement?
Oh, there's so many.
Yeah.
Top 30. Just kidding.
So I guess a few that I sort of hear people talk about. That's a miracle. Like one is BCAAs. Nothing wrong with BCAAs, but I sometimes feel like people will sort of
lean on them.
Say it's like essential
them.
or something like that in that
Right?
regard.
But honestly, if you look at the research, it's pretty equivocal. It works for some people, it doesn't work for others. So it's a little bit, it's not exactly right to say that it's the be-all something that works for everyone.
Yeah, or it's needed for everyone.
You need it, right? Yeah. Sometimes I hear things about like keto pills, or
Keto's the greatest diet out there. So don't even tell me that.
I gotta go. Yeah. But like any kind of like pill really that says it'll like burn your fat to like a high degree, or
and it gets you in a keto
stasis.
Keto stasis, yeah.
What else? Oh, there's just so many. It's hard to think of one exact one, but like I think that my broader answer would be is there's a lot of supplements out there which are ranging from bad, okay, to good. But the really important thing is that you're picking a supplement that works for you, works for your goals. It's safe to use, and if you're an athlete, it's safe for competition.
Yeah, that's a big
because that's a big one. Because there are athletes before who have taken contaminated supplements and who have tested positive in drug tests, especially at higher levels.
Yeah.
and they ended up either obviously losing the competition, but then banned for a few years or banned permanently.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, say within like the CPU that we're competing in, Joe included. They keep your, I believe, WADA keeps your sample for 10 years,
give or take. Yeah.
So. When they're, well, maybe not keep it, but they're at liberty to like test it for up to 10 years. So I mean, as like you can do a quick Google search to find out like athletes that in 2012 didn't test positive are now losing medals and
like they're retroactively back.
Mm-hmm. So but so that's a big part that, you know, if at one point you did and you thought it's out of your system and then you go to comp and you don't get tested, it's a miracle, but 6 months later you get tested or they retest that same sample and you could I mean but we'll skip over that.
What's your favorite diet tea?
What's your favorite waist trainer?
the diet. Okay, let's be honest, if we're gonna talk about any sort of thing, the classic is the shake weight.
The
shake weight.
What? Okay, so what's your favorite exercise of the shake weight?
You like it. We got a bunch here, you know.
Oh wow. Really? Yo, guys, movement is the place to be. We have up and coming, peak of the state art equipment. Right, Cody? Shake weights is what I'm hearing. Shake weights.
Yeah.
Movement branded shake weights. We got a logo on there. Rather than hop on the bottom, so you shake it like this. You can see it.
It's a party. It's a party in here. That's a lights off. That's a lights off exercise.
Yeah, glow in the dark. So for the barbecue, we're turning off the lights.
That's for movement after dark. That's for movement after dark.
Movement after dark. I love it.
That's a different episode.
That's a different podcast.
Sean gets humor after dark.
Yeah, after hours.
After hours.
Yeah.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Before hours.
Before hours.
So the next one, the last one that I have is, and I think we're going to kind of take over from here, in your professional opinion, what is the most important meal of the day and why?
Wow, that's a tough one.
And it could also be is there, because obviously there's going to be different variables within like maybe like training, current health status, everything like that. But say like for me, who's like going to school, then like moderately active in the gym, lifting weights, that I wake up at like an average time.
I'd probably, like, a lot of people say you always have to have breakfast. Not always the case, but in a lot of situations, I think breakfast is.
What Dr. Oz said that this year he's getting rid of breakfast.
Like him personally, he's taking away breakfast from millions of people.
Eating breakfast, Dr. Oz will dive through the window. No, get out of here. Get out of here.
Breakfast.
No breakfast. No, like. What I find, like, if we look at like school children, at least from a learning perspective, those who go to school without having breakfast, who go to school hungry, often have poor learning outcomes. And obviously, like, we're not school children. Cody
some
right?
people.
But
Nice.
He's the main guy.
Sorry, I feel bad.
That's the whole reason why you answered the question.
Perfect. But if we look at outcomes, right? Like breakfast it's a huge thing, and especially if you haven't been eating for a few hours, and let's say you're really busy, you go to classes, you work. It's sometimes really hard to sit down and eat. Having that first meal of the day can really sort of set you up for success, at least for the first few hours. Because it gives your body that energy, right? To learn, to move, to train, and just to live, right? So if I had to choose one, it would be breakfast. But really, all meals in the day are really important. Because you can have a great breakfast, great, you're set, you're going about your day, you're doing good, and then you don't have any lunch, you don't have anything to eat for like several hours, and you know what? Half the way through the afternoon, you're just dragging your feet. You know, your prof is talking, nothing's going through. Or you're trying to train, and you know what, just that warm up, you know, those weights, those movements just don't feel as crispy clean as they should, because they don't have the energy to be really technical, really strong. So I think being able to eat every few hours and having, you know, a steady source of carbs and protein and just a nice balanced diet that fits best for your goals is going to be the best.
Joe, you taking notes?
I don't need to.
He's actually, that's how he was actually answering the question as well. Does that sound about right?
No. That's all I have.
Yeah, all I have.
And like I know, like I work with a lot of athletes who have morning practices. So for example, I've worked with swimmers who have to wake up at like 5 o'clock in the morning, right?
Yeah.
And like they have to get in the pool by like 5:36. No way in hell are they gonna have a full breakfast. They don't have the appetite, the time. They're gonna go. They're not definitely not going to go into the water on a heavy stomach, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes when people hear the word breakfast, they think like a full meal, like pancakes, bacon, eggs, you know, their yogurt, granola, fruit, a whole thing, right? But really, it's just getting at least something.
A banana.
Yeah, banana.
A banana.
Right?
Shout out bananas.
Shout out bananas. Like something is better than nothing. So what I find, at least with those really morning athletes, is like, okay, look, you don't have to have a full course meal. Let's look at what you like, what's easy to prep, what's easy on your stomach, and gives you sustainable energy that can really help you perform in the pool, in the gym, you know, on the road, right? So
that's good. That's good.
it's not even just like when you have it or like what meal, but what goes into that meal that works best for you as a person.
Yeah, and for what you're performing and everything. Like
Yeah,
that,
right. You know, or if you're like someone who has type 2 diabetes or some kind of health concern, right? Then
Candies.
Oh yeah,
Liquor.
candies, Coke.
Yeah.
Just a straight shot of a Splenda, you know, artificial sweetener because we're all about health here.
Yeah.
And a little bit of banana on top of your shot.
Just a pinch.
Just a pinch.
Schmutz.
Schmutz.
Yeah.
The Schmitzel of it.
Yeah. A little concoction.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Hao-Yi's secret concoction.
That's what I take every time. Some Coke, some sugar, a little bit of Splenda, banana, just right down that.
Whatever you can scavenge up.
Yeah.
Random pills from the floor.
Yeah.
Look, we're all about adaptability here. You know,
yeah.
Whatever you can find.
As an athlete, that's what I've discussed as an
I
athlete.
think that's answering a lot. We know the secret now.
Yeah.
If you take anything away from this
numbers are
episode,
gonna
Jump up. Yeah.
if you take anything away from this episode, it's that concoction is a PED.
Water hasn't found out about it yet though, so.
That concoction. Splendid concoction.
What's that smell?
That'd be the rotting bananas.
That's Cody's favorite rotten food.
Eggs. Shit.
All right, Joe. What's your question here?
Question that just came up right now
in
my head. It's might put you on the spot a little bit, but which kind of like popular or not necessarily fad, but diet would you like? Are you annoyed by the most? So like in terms of like not necessarily keto itself, but like example like keto, paleo, and all those types where there is a solid following, and there are people that say this is the right type of diet for anyone. Yeah.
So I'm actually gonna use keto. The reason being for that is there's a billboard right outside Notre Dame and McPhillips.
Okay.
That's advertising keto pizza crust.
Oh.
So every time I leave the gym, I always see that.
You want to burn it down? Or order keto pizza.
So like
I've had keto pizza 3 times.
So anyways, I'm keto.
I'm not saying keto is bad. I think this is a chronic problem with a lot of diets, and you've touched on it, where you have this diet that's restrictive, where you're essentially limiting or cutting certain food items, and then you say it fits.
Carbs aren't that important.
Oh, okay. Let's see about that. Take that back. And then you have this chronic problem where like you're cutting things out, you're limiting, right? And then you're saying it works for everyone. But the matter of fact is it doesn't, right? And one example is, let's look at someone with type 2 diabetes. There is some research to recommend that a low carb or keto, because those are 2 different things, low carb and keto are 2 different things, may work, but it's still in the early stages. It doesn't work for everyone else. Or they're taking insulin, what kind of glycemic medication are they taking? And with keto, it's mainly protein and fat, right? Not a lot of carbs. So what about your fiber? Okay, you can take a supplement, maybe. What about your fruits and vegetables and minerals and vitamins there? Okay, you can take a multivitamin. And then you have that conversation moving away from actual food to like supplements, right? Yeah. What about your saturated fat intake, right? Because you're having a lot of protein. Where's that protein coming from, right?
And you're having a lot of fat. Where's all that fat coming from?
Right. So
coconut oil.
If you look at coconut oil, well, and it's a problem too, because then you have people get on this train, they're trying to restrict, and they may not have a solid base nutrition understanding, so that all they know is that. How sustainable is it? So if you look at research of keto, they've only done short-term studies, not anything over a long period of time, and usually people fall off it or they stop it. and then they sort of start to gain that weight back, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And then, and if we look at athletes, right, we know that research shows that people who do keto or low carb diets often have reduced power output, reduced endurance, reduced work capacity in their sport, right? So they've done studies on sprinters, rowers, cyclists, runners. So keto is not appropriate for them, right?
Yeah.
And keto may work for some people. Like it was originally designed to help manage seizures.
Yeah.
And there again, there is some interesting research on.
But that's more the fat component. In terms of what I've like researched, that was mostly the fat component that adds up with the seizures.
Yeah, because it corresponds to a specific sort of like receptor mechanism in the body. But then I see people in the public like doing it, right? It's same with any sort of fat diet. Like it may not always fit. You're always pushing it, right? And then people use an opportunity to then start selling supplements on top of it.
Yeah.
Or it's very cookie cutter. So, for example, I'm not going to name any names.
What's her name?
But this is I worked with a client in the past where they wanted to train for like an endurance type event, right? Okay. And they were getting a plan, exercise and nutrition from like this trainer as part of the group.
Coaching service.
This coaching service. And there are some good coaching services here. Right? Like Magma.
Yeah. Joke.
Magma.
Not good.
Well, we have really, really awesome trainers here in Movement. I'm going to plug them. So shout out to the trainers here. Really, really good group of people.
But mostly,
Joe.
But then we looked at this plan, and this client kept saying multiple times that they wanted to be more endurance-based and want to be able to have that increased work capacity. I looked at their nutrition, and it was like just protein, low carb. They were on creatine, which is not really suitable for endurance events, right? Yeah. And I'm not going to comment too much on the exercise practices on my forte, but a lot of it was just strength training. The only sort of endurance or cardio component they had was like a 10-minute run, right?
That's all you need for a marathon.
So if we're looking for a marathon, I don't think that's going to cut it.
Yeah.
I'm just taking a wild guess here, right?
You can finish it in 10 minutes.
Yeah. And like they kept him on this program for like weeks upon weeks. And I actually saw another client before this one who was working with the same coaching service, and it was a very similar plan.
No way.
And the funny thing is, this previous client expressed concerns because they wanted more foods that they ate, like that are more culturally appropriate. And then it was not that. It was not that at all, right? So it's even like just respecting your client, right? That client-focused care. We're respecting their goals, their readiness to change, what their sport is, what their background is, and even something as small as their preferences, their religious beliefs. Those actually go a long way. Right?
You have to be able to enjoy it, right?
I think that's what you guys do great too when you're dealing with people. You look at them, you touch upon it like as humans, as people first.
It's that respect.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think mine's like I think that transfers, because I treat it as like you got to move like a human before you move like an athlete, before you move like in like the case I use with you, a power lifter. Like there's prerequisites, and maybe, and like correct me if I'm wrong, like maybe when you're dealing with your clients, like you got to be able to understand what you're fueling first before potentially you can add supplements in or add things into like boost performance. Like let's get the bare necessities down, let's get this base built at like a steady understanding and a steady schedule of eating, and then maybe we'll experiment some caffeine or whatever. And maybe I'll be completely off.
It's that respect.
Yeah.
And actually, I think there was a question earlier about which product or supplement that really bugs you. What actually just popped in my head, and it's really any sort of supplement where they slap on labels just for the sake of it. So like for example, like I could say that this is vegan. This banana is vegan, right? Something like that, like, or there's spices that are keto free, or keto. Of course, spices are gonna be keto. Spices. What do you expect? Right? Just like me.
Carbs. Shit.
Like, what is that? Like, what kind of marketing is that? Right? It's a little bit dishonest.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna list the name, but you and I talked about a drink one time.
What's the name?
And it listed
what's her
all
name?
these different things. And
What's her name?
This applies not at all. Like, they just threw that on there, and of course it's not that.
Yeah.
There's like multiple like situations like that, right? It's like they're putting random things that have nothing to do with any drink, let alone. Like,
here's my Hao-Yi branded water.
Low calories.
It's low calorie, so 0 calorie. It's
performance.
vegan, GMO free. It's keto.
Yeah.
You know,
It's got the green check mark.
It's got the green part. It's safe for sport.
Yeah.
You know, I got it straight from the tap. City of Winnipeg approved. It's not brown.
Not brown, yeah. Competition approved, yeah.
Back to the drawing board.
Why is that important?
Yeah.
I've been drinking brown water.
I guess like what I'm trying to get is there's so much information out there. I guess there are people sometimes who either capitalize on it or maybe don't realize the nuance, or not necessarily out of ignorance or maliciousness, but don't have that client focused care. And I think as healthcare and as service and as fitness providers, we have an ethical duty to provide not only knowledgeable care, but also ethical care as well. That really takes the client and their background as a whole, and that really just that respect, right? Like, be honest, like, do you want this outside my scope, or you know, I can't really fully agree with that.
Yeah,
things like that.
Yeah, and that's, I think, tough within like our society now, is that like, say in a therapy sense, there's going to be clients that come in who could have like be on track to knowing like what's wrong with them based on like maybe their at-home research. And there's going to be more clients as opposed to like 30 years ago where they're like, this hurts, like, come help me, or in a dietitian sense, like, there's no research out there that I can really find. I need a lot of help with nutrition. Now you're going to have a lot more access, which is like good and bad. Because you could be looking like in the total different area with not really good knowledge users, or backed by companies that are sponsoring doctors to say certain things with nutrition or supplements of that, or even doing research on certain supplements, right? Yeah, I think it's definitely a little bit harder now because people probably you've experienced coming into like your setting with being like, oh, I've been running this and I feel great. When then you go down to it, it's like, you have actually not felt that great. Based on
there was a conversation I had with a client time when they started describing, like, oh, I'm doing this and this and this, and I asked them some questions like, okay, how do your energy levels feel? I was like, oh, they're pretty good. I'm like, oh, like throughout the day, and like, no. And then I kind of look at the long list of supplements they're on, and like you're saying, right? It's that's where the sort of assessment comes in. You look at their lab work, you look at their body history, or their social and diet history.
Body history.
I just say weight history.
Body.
So you're on your third body.
Third body. Looks fresh. I feel great. One lawsuit later.
Yeah. All right. Joe, you got something here?
I got something.
Okay.
So just to touch on something we learned about you earlier. So I don't think any of us knew that you broke your arm, or two arms.
Two arms, lower arm and upper arm.
So I was just curious, we know you are a powerlifter, and you lift like consistently. Do you ever find or think that breaking that arm earlier might be the reason why your bench is so low?
It's exactly the reason, you know? Oh my god.
Cody was festering on that one.
Cody's been sitting on that one. Really good.
Did you have a back injury or something? Anything wrong with your legs?
I actually did have a knee injury when I was younger. That's why my squats are bad.
He has no knees, actually. He can't bend.
There's no kneecaps, just one straight.
RDLs for life.
That's why I can't do deadlifts.
You just have a femur. There's no tibia. There's no tibia or kneecap.
Jeez.
That's a really long femur, you know?
Yeah. I mean, strongest bone in the body.
Absolutely.
Well, that's what they say. Right, Gabe? Oh, easy. Hey, get a little touchy with Gabriel there. Little Gabriel.
Little Gabriel. A little solid. I like it.
Yeah, he's got some thick femurs on him.
He does.
Has he grown since last?
I think so.
He's been trained a lot, you know.
He's hitting that spurt. Or she. She's got a pretty wide pelvis, so.
Yeah.
I think that's female. The female origin.
This is peak human performance. This is what we all aspire to be.
They're taking creatine.
That's a keto body.
That's the keto diet.
That's a keto diet.
But yeah, I think that was a good one. That was a good podcast. Good episode. Thanks.
It'll be the first and last time Hao-Yi's on.
Yeah, probably.
We just gotta separate these two. We gotta separate these two.
First and last guest.
First and last. First and worst guest. So far, Hao-Yi's been the worst guest we've had.
Not the first though.
Yeah. You could say the best as well.
Yeah,
that's true.
The best, yeah.
That's true.
Best
but we'll go with the worst.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, and
thanks for roasting me pretty good there.
Yeah, you've hit a chord with Cody, so be prepared.
He's gonna go straight.
Expect some PR.
He's getting ready to repeating last week's workout all in one day.
Make him do it again.
Rest day today? I don't think so. Yeah. I think we're training after this.
I saw him doing lunges. Was it last week or a few days ago?
When aren't I doing though?
Yeah,
every week.
You were like this, like.
I straight up was walking and like you and I think it was Scott and Scott's like, "Are you okay?" Well, I will be.
Yeah,
I'm done these.
He looks so.
Was it Thursday?
Thursday.
Yeah.
The 300.
Mm-hmm.
And Gavin's client is watching and like it's never ending and Gavin's just like, yeah, he's got to do like 300 continuous, and then their face was just like, what? Like,
what a stupid program.
And I'm pretty sure they said why, and he's like, no, like it was planned. It was part of his program.
It wasn't a typo.
Yeah.
But look how big your legs are getting now.
Look how thick them legs are getting.
We'll see.
I mean,
we'll see on the platform.
I lunged once.
Yeah. How did it go?
I heard some squeaks.
I was doing that again.
Yeah. I thought I heard a pop too.
Yeah. Oh, probably.
I don't stop until I hear a pop. All right.
Is there anything you want to mention before?
Not about me.
Where can people find you?
Yep.
Oh, at least privately, I'm with just on Friday night.
Yeah.
I'm with
Tuesday mornings.
My home address.
Yeah. If you see a cardboard box on the corner, it's probably me. Yeah. So I'm with Niagara Strength Systems. And I work at a movement here. So I have set hours on Wednesday and Saturdays. I offer private nutrition services and of course pending insurance. You can claim with that. I also work full-time in healthcare, and I'm over at Sport Manitoba as well. So you kind of find me at those locations, or in the Oreo or banana section of the grocery store.
Yeah, depending on who's planning the shopping route.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, or eating out.
Yeah. What if they made or maybe they have, I don't even know, like a banana flavored Oreo? Would
That's
you be all
fucking disgusting. Get the hell out of
I'm
here.
pretty sure they have to have. They have to have.
They do have.
The
I think they
grossest
do.
combination.
How about an Oreo flavored banana?
Yeah.
You
Banana.
You
Are
said.
you kidding me? You guys are saying a banana flavored Oreo.
Yeah, or like banana bread flavored Oreo. How about that?
Banana bread.
Oreo flavored
banana
bananas.
bread Oreo.
This is damn. This is getting out of hand here.
Yeah. Well, like I was talking. There's a social worker I work with. They were just brainstorming like different Oreo ideas we could do. Because they're making Oreos for everything.
They have everything under the sun.
Yeah.
True.
You got cinnamon bun, you got birthday cake, you got mint,
They have
you got
a
peanut
bunch
butter,
of
you have
stuff.
double stuff, you have golden,
Triple stuff.
you have the classic ones.
I thought there was double stuffed and regular.
Oh, there's lots. You're missing out, man.
Yeah.
You gotta
There's
look
carrot
at some.
cake.
Ew.
Actually, I like that.
Ew.
I know there's carrot cake.
Yeah.
There's always been carrot cake.
Carrot cake Oreos.
Oh, carrot cake.
Yeah, carrot cake Oreos.
I thought we just named desserts. No.
Yeah.
There's banana bread.
There's chocolate Oreos, I'm pretty sure, or like cocoa Oreos, something like that. Yeah. That's a wild world out there.
Banana Oreos, though. I don't think that mix.
It's a weird
You
time.
would buy them.
It's a weird time we
I
live
tried.
in.
Yeah.
I tried, yeah.
You'd be like those guys stocking up on all the water and toilet paper right now. Your
Toilet
cart's just gonna be full of banana
I know.
Oreos.
All these fools like just stock on toilet paper.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be able to eat toilet paper.
Yeah.
I know. No food.
No.
No food. It's
No
all
food, just toilet paper.
That's all you need.
That's
Yeah.
all you need.
You know
Nutrition.
what you can do? Wash your hands.
Yeah.
Wash your hands.
Yeah.
What's the nutrition facts on toilet paper? Like, can you break it down?
You get some fiber.
Nice.
You know.
You don't want that fiber. I imagine that'd be
No.
not fun coming.
You might get a bowel obstruction, but that's a problem for later. We have surgeons for that.
Yeah.
Then I can give you nutrition advice. Lose 80 pounds in 30 days.
Future Howie problem.
Yeah, it's a
Then you just
future-
eat a worm, and then it'll.
Hey, maybe if you promote it, you can get more business and it'll help grow yourself.
Oh yeah.
So you want to do shout out eating toilet paper?
And should have toilet paper.
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
NBA, yeah.
This is gonna end.
I saw a clip of like there was a Twitter thing where like all the sports are being canceled, like Grand Prix, NBA, NHL. Yeah, Australian Grand Prix.
What?
Yeah, yeah. And like there's like these like I think they're basketball athletes or the athletes just like are on this television watching just a bowling match and like freaking out.
Oh no!
It's like yeah, bowling.
There's people.
Darts,
Darts, yeah.
There's people like simulating the video games
Oh,
too, and like actually playing it to schedule,
Yeah,
and like
NBA
people
2K
are
or
betting and
something,
stuff
right?
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Phoenix Suns players are finishing their season by playing the opponents they would have played.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Fantastic.
I like how media is just wild too. They're like
Yeah.
just filling updates on players and everything like that, and they're just trying to kill time.
Yeah.
Like Giannis
Every
is playing the
player that's
guitar
there,
and
I'm
stuff
yeah,
like
I'm
that.
totally fine. Just
Yeah.
not allowed out of my room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good times.
Yeah. Strange times we live in.
Yeah.
Anyways, nutrition's
Alright.
overrated.
Yeah,
All right.
nutrition is
Same thing,
overrated.
Yeah.
Howie will not be back.
That's fair.
Next podcast will be better, back to normal. That's a wrap.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, guys, for the
Oh, that was a good one.
warm welcome.
Okay, you can go now.
Thank you guys for watching and listening.
That was good.
That was really good.
That was good, yeah.
Oh.